Us back to the beginning. How did you discover your passion for storytelling and the arts?
I've always been in the performing arts, whether it be music or dance. I just love performing. It's always been kind of my thing. Did I think it was going to be something that I did as a profession? I didn't think that far. I was just, I always wanted that when people say when they're kids, and I knew I wanted to be that when I was adult. It's like, you're a kid, you really? Okay. But I think that's definitely, I just love doing it, and then I got, I became very involved in music and got in various different bands. And my mom was in the film industry. And so I always said I'd never end up in the film industry because, as a woman back in the day, it was really a boys club, and I saw how hard she had to work, and how long those hours were. And she was away from me. So as a kid, it was just like, I saw it was this thing that was taking her away on locations and whatnot. And so, but, family business, it just kind of pulled me in. And I really got involved in theater. That was my first passion in terms of acting. And then being in LA, of course, it's television mostly, so television and film. So that transition seemed inevitable, Also a way to make money, because in theater you don't really make money, unless you're on Broadway all the time. But so, yeah.
Perfect segue to this next question. But how would you say the stage has shaped the artist that you are today? What was that transition like, going from that medium to film on television?
I'm just now getting used to it. It's been for me, it's been a harder transition. I remember Joan Allen, the actress Joan Allen, she had talked about it. It had taken her years before she finally understood about lighting and the camera and where she was placed in it, So, I think I'm a late bloomer in that. It's taken me a long time to kind of be aware of the camera, and because it's just a different art form. It really, really is, So for me, it was a little challenging. And now, of course, I love it because I look at it so differently. I look at it as it's this thing that's so intimate. You have this really intimate relationship with the camera, and you're in close proximity to your scene, your scene mate. And it just kind of, kind of condenses, the camera picks up just feelings and thoughts, You don't have to project it to the mezzanine, so to speak, right?
Yeah. In addition to acting, you're also a producer and writer. How have your experiences behind the scenes made you a stronger actor on screen and vice versa?
God, I always balk at, people who are, feel like producing and writing are going to take away from, the time yourself as an actor. But to me, it just, you form a real clearer sense of where you are in the picture. For me, that's what it's done. It's kind of made me understand a little bit more about what it means to be an actor, because it really is a team sport, at least, in TV and all of it, but especially in TV and film, it's you're part of the puzzle. If you don't have a good editor, and you don't have a good lighting designer, and you don't have a good sound designer, all these things play into the puzzle and how things come out. So it's just deep in my craft. I feel like,
You've had so much success already in your career. When you look back, is there a particular moment that stands out to you?
This is us.
Yeah.
This is us. I could get choked up about it because it's been a real, it's very rare in an actor's life that you get to play a part that you love so much, and with players that you just think are extraordinary as people and as artists, and just incredible writing, to be able to say those words. And also, to be able to go from to the aging process of being, Marilyn in her 20s and Marilyn, in her 60s. It's just like you get to explore all those different ages and walk in those shoes. I mean, what a gift. What a gift, you know? So I think that's been my big moment later in life, you know, because I've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm a little bit of a late bloomer in that sense of it all. But
And this is such an exciting week for you that This Is Us finale just aired. You have Stranger Things. When you let's first talk about This Is Us. When you look back at that experience, what will you remember most? Did anything surprise you about that journey?
Marilyn wasn't as fleshed out in, you know,
Yeah.
in the early stages. So my hope was always that she was going to be more fleshed out. And so I, I was really glad that the writers, you know, did this season really captured the storytelling between myself and Jack. So glad that they did that because I,
Yeah.
you know, as a viewer, those are the questions I had,
Yeah.
you know, those are the questions we all have in terms of who are the parents and why are they like that? And, you know, it's our parents are what, you know, who mold us, you know, and the people that we are. And so it just was really that moment for sure. And also just working with Milo. I mean, he's just an
Yeah.
extraordinary scene partner. He's a very present, very generous scene partner. And so, you know, I've done gigs since then, and it's like, you know, it's really, I'll always take that with me because he's just lovely to work across, just lovely.
In theater, you know where your character storyline is going. You have a start, a middle, and an end.
I know.
In television, you're learning more about your character. You don't really know where it's going. How has that changed the way that you've approached kind of these projects?
It keeps you more present. I mean, that's for sure. Like you just play the scene, you play the moment, right? It's like you don't know what's going to happen um further along down the road, you know. It is challenging at times, but what's nice about that is you can kind of use your imagination. Well, maybe, you know, maybe if I put this in it, sprinkle this little fairy dust in it, you know, whatever you need to kind of get you through this scene that you know, you can kind of make your own, you fill it in your own way, which is fun because then you get to play it in your imagination and it's not written down in black and white where you're going to be. You get to kind of explore different things. So in that way, it's kind of, it's one of the reasons I love auditioning because, you know, before the director's in there kind of tweaking the performance or the editor comes in, it's the first pure interpretation of what I feel this character
Hmm.
is. You know what I mean? So that's why I just love auditioning in that sense, you know?
Yeah, great answer. You know, and Stranger Things season 4 just dropped today. We know you can't say too much, but what can fans and audiences expect from your character?
Well, I have a cameo in Stranger Things, but I mean, oh my goodness, to be in Stranger Things, to be with those brothers, the Duffer brothers, obviously, I'm referring to, um, they're just they're just extraordinary. They're just extraordinary, and I'm a big fan of the show. So the fact that, you know, I was brought on is so cool, so cool. And you know, I got to work with some of the main cast there, and it was
Yeah.
just, they're just so humble and so cool and very, 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 very hardworking. I mean, that those days are long on that set, very, very long days. So, you know, just an extraordinary cast and crew of hard workers, really, really hard. That's probably the hardest working set I've been
Hmm.
on in terms of, you know, how they maneuver through all this, you know, all these pieces of the puzzle that they go through.
Yeah, you've been a part of projects with these massive fan bases. Does that bring a different pressure heading into a project like this or This Is Us?
Well, are you kidding? It's the best part of it. It's so fun. I mean, anybody wants to be on a show that people are watching, right? You know, that's what's so cool about it. So yeah, and I love that they're such different genres. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the thing. It's like as an actor, there's always this fear that, oh no, I'm just gonna end up in my career in family dramas. That's gonna be, I'm gonna be the go-to mom in family dramas, you know, and you know, of course, there's so much more that us actors do. and we want to explore different, different characters. So, I've gotten to this past year has been just wonderful because none of the characters I've played this past year are anything alike. Anything. I mean, I could thread certain things, but for the most part, they are nothing alike. And, what a gift, just wonderful.
Perfect segue to this next question. But you've brought these complex characters to life in different genres. As you look ahead, is there a dream role that you would love to bring to life on the screen? Is there a genre that you've yet to explore that you would love to dive deeper into?
I'd love to do a Western. I've never done a Western. So I'd love to do a Western. I think that would just be really, really cool. And I'd love to be able to, I've said this before, and it's interesting. I don't know why I feel this way. It's something I feel, but I'd love to be able to play a real life character. And I think it's because it's the challenge of wanting to bring that to life in my own interpretation, while also honoring, I'm just loving the what is it, the First Lady on Showtime. I'm just loving that. I kept thinking, oh my God, what a dream! What to be Betty Ford, to be, you know what I mean? It's just so cool.
What is your character development process like when you're joining a new project, and in particular with This Is Us, where there's so many emotional moments? As an actor, how do you create the space for yourself to dive into those?
Music's my big go-to. It's like I hear the music before before I can do anything. It's just where I've always been, where I've always lived. And that's been a big part of my process. I create a playlist, and I had a teacher a long time ago tell me, when you create a playlist, never share it with anyone. That's sacred music. And so, I have my Marilyn Pearson music that's sacred to me. I have my Beth Strauss music from The Patient that's very sacred to me. And I just play it on a loop, going to set, in my trailer, it's in the background when I'm, getting the lines down. Music has always been a real big deal for me in that way.
Great answer. And then speaking of The Patient, is there anything that you can tell us about the series? What should fans expect from that?
Well, I can tell you I play Steve Carell's wife. And it is nothing like you've seen Steve Carell do. He's extraordinary in this. He is really, really something to be reckoned with. And Donald Gleason, it's an extraordinary cast. These are actors that I've admired for a long time, and to be able to get to work with them. It's dark. It's very dark. And it's incredible writing. These are the writers of The Americans, and they're just brilliant with the way they have done this series. It's quite wonderful to work. And that's such a gift when, you start getting the little street cred, so to speak, as an actor. You start getting better writing, and you start working with people who have been doing it for longer than you have. And, it's just the talent is, and I always sit lately, this especially this past year, just sitting in awe of like, oh my God, that I get to kind of be a part of this is so wonderful, and that I get to contribute to it. It's really quite extraordinary.